I'm on a balcony right now in Pripyat, looking out at Reactor 4. This is kind of surreal.
So yeah, it's about 50 times higher than more, actually 60.
Good morning guys and welcome to Ukraine. I'm at the border of the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone right now and about to head into Chernobyl for 2 days. I don't know if any of you would expect this, but this place is a lot busier than I expected. We've got a 40-minute wait to even get in, and this is the first checkpoint, and we've got more checkpoints to go in before we even get to the exclusion zone. So from what I've heard from people, and now I'm seeing it for myself, since the Chernobyl HBO series, it's kind of turned into a bit of a circus. There's so many people coming here. I'm sure some of you have seen it in social media recently. Loads of people are coming to Chernobyl because of that, and I'm expecting it to be very busy inside. Kind of like a Chernobyl Disneyland. We just got inside the 30-kilometer zone and we've still got another checkpoint till we get inside the 10-kilometer zone, which is the proper exclusion zone where the most radiation is. Apparently there's still up to 7,000 people working here because they're decommissioning the rest of the reactors. Reactor 4 was the one that exploded, but the other 3 reactors were still working up until 2000. It was when they started decommissioning them. Like they even turned those reactors back on in 1987. One of them, 1989, another, just a year and a couple of years after the meltdown of Chernobyl. They were working for 10 years and now they're decommissioning them, which will take up to 50 years. So there's still lots of people working here in shifts of 15 days to decommission the rest of the plant. Check it out, this is the admin building. There's an ATM and a shop. Right, yeah, I'm the last one. I mean, even getting a coffee in Chernobyl feels kind of surreal.
So we have a Geiger counter that helps us to see what the level of radiation we have around. This Geiger counter accounts radiation in microsieverts per hour. So right now it's like 5 point something. So it's close to like 20 times higher than normal. The contamination of the soil depended on the wind direction mainly, because when the accident happened there was a lot of radioactive dust and emissions in the air. So it depended where it fell actually, and that was very random. So nowadays we have like millions of these places around the area. Right now here it's about 20 times higher than normal, but to get this amount of radiation, you will have to stay on this place for 1 hour. Some places have like several million times higher than normal in the area. So that's why when we are inside a 10-kilometer zone, it's better not to go off the road and just follow everyone.
Okay, if you can see right behind me, that's reactor number 4. Right here. That's the reactor that melted down and exploded, and now I'm stood this close to it. You can also see reactor number 5, and then just next to it 3, 2 and 1 that were still in operation for years afterwards. It's kind of surreal being this close. That's reactor 4 right there. That's the sarcophagus over the top of it. We're 400 meters away from there. We just did the radiation measurement. It's 0.7, I've got to get it wrong, microkelvins gamma per hour.
Counts radiation in microsieverts per hour.
So the sarcophagus here was only put here and slid over the entire reactor 4 in 2016. So this is going to last 100 years, and then from the inside they're using remote control cranes to dismantle reactor 4. So within 100 years it should kind of be solved, but that means it's still going to take 140, 150 years from when the incident happened to really make this okay. And even then it won't be okay. People still won't be able to live in this exact area, but it will be less of an issue, let's say. It's insane that we are this close. We're 400 meters away, and it's just a bit surreal as well, especially because of the HBO series that has made a lot more people come here, like you can see. It just really brings it all to life. We're now heading into the canteen right by reactor number 4 for lunch. We just had a radiation check before we have lunch. Apparently I'm all clear right now, but let's see by tomorrow afternoon. Wow, not bad. Honestly, not bad at all. It's actually pretty nice food. It's just kind of surreal having anything in here, having like food and drink when you're just, this is just 2 kilometers away from Reactor 4, and this is for all the workers that are still living and working here. But the fact that you're so close to such a huge event kind of still blows my mind.
So yeah, it's about 50 times higher than more, actually 60. So staying here for 1 hour equals to like 2 days of normal life on radiation.
This is now the Red Forest, a section of it where all of the radioactive isotopes and dust blew over into the trees, and within a couple days all of the trees lost their color and turned black, and it completely changed. The whole forest, the whole area was knocked down and turned over after they created the exclusion zone. So everything you can see has all grown back in 30 years. But even now, the radiation here is much higher than lots of the other places. You just used the counter and it went up to 16, whereas normally we've been walking around, it's been about 0.7. We're now in an abandoned train yard. We've been told we can walk around and have a look, but don't climb on or touch any of them because they could also still be radioactive. Basically the general rule here is don't touch anything, pick anything up, don't put anything down on the ground, wear layers, or not layers, but just basically have arms and legs covered, and don't eat or drink while you're in the central exclusion zone. We're about to go to Pripyat, which is the town only 3 kilometers away from the reactor, and that's where you 100% should keep covered up and not eat or drink anything. I'm now in the abandoned city of Pripyat. It was home to 50,000 people. From 1979 it became a city, and then in 86 it was completely evacuated, and the 50,000 people here had to leave. For those of you that have seen the series, you'll know that it didn't happen straight away. People here didn't know what was going on. The explosion, the meltdown happened during the night, and it took 36 hours for them to really admit to and find out what was really happening, and at that point they started evacuating people. They brought in buses from across the country and evacuated 50,000 people in about 3 hours. Since then, it's remained completely abandoned. This is the abandoned amusement park within Pripyat. If you've seen any photos of Chernobyl, you've probably seen this. One very interesting thing is that nature has completely retaken this area. Everything, I mean, there's one building on one side and another building there, and there wouldn't have been this giant forest here before, but now within 32, 33 years, all of these trees have sprouted up and completely retaken it because there's been no human intervention. Right, I'm now in the gas mask room. Some of you guys might recognize this. There's been some photos from here, and the floor just here is just covered in gas masks. We're only allowed in here for max 10 minutes before we need to leave because of the radiation. As you can see, a lot of people coming in here anyway. We've just climbed 16 floors to the top of an apartment building because apparently there's a view from here. Look at this. It's an abandoned apartment, and from here I should be able to see the reactor. I'm on a balcony on top of a building in Pripyat, and right behind me is Reactor 4. This is pretty surreal. After the Reactor 4 melted down, all of the radioactive dust particles blew into the forest, and within a few days it pretty much died. It had to be completely turned over, so everything you see there now has regrown within 30 years. This is a monument to the first 30 firefighters that turned up to the fire at Reactor 4. And for any of you that might have seen the series, you would have seen what happened to them, but basically they didn't know it was a fire and they got a full dose of the radiation. It took about 4 or 5 hours apparently to put the fire out, but by that time it was too late. Even now, all of the clothes are still in the hospital they were treated at, but all of the 30 people died. We've just checked out of the 10-kilometer zone. We had a radiation check on the way out. It was a checkpoint, so I couldn't film it, but all good. Passed today. And now we're getting some snacks from the little grocery store to last us for tonight, and then we're on to Chernobyl Hotel, where we'll be sleeping inside the 30-kilometer zone tonight. All right, this is our hotel. All right, this is our room for the night in Chernobyl Hotel. I'm going to finish this video here. All we're doing is eating tonight, and then I'll be back with the next video because we've got the whole day from early in the morning exploring Chernobyl tomorrow, which should give us better access to it with less crowds, and I should be able to see even more of Chernobyl and Pripyat and this area. But for now, I get to sleep inside the exclusion zone. We're 20 kilometers away from the reactor. Yeah, hopefully see you in the next video.